What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well through the social distancing thing. I myself have been in the garage just hanging out. Deb's at work. She's an 911 dispatcher, so she's definitely essential. Instead of getting out on an adventure, it's a beautiful day outside. We just can't do it. We're going to do a little bit of stuff in the garage. Jeep behind me, you guys may recognize from our first couple videos. This is Alan and Nancy's Jeep. And if you remember, it was completely stock. They went for 2 days with us and done a great job with it. However, they did recognize some of the shortcomings of having a stock Jeep and trying to do some of the things that we were doing. So they have already added a little bit larger tires. They went from stock size tires to 295s. And one of the other things you'll notice in the background there, they added a snorkel. We did hit some water that got up almost to the hood, so they decided that they wanted to snorkel for that reason, and they just liked the way it looked. So today we're going to change things up a little bit more for them. Going to give them a little bit more ground clearance, and we're going to do an AEV 2-inch spacer lift for them. They wanted a little bit of a lift. They didn't want to go crazy. They didn't want to go over the top. They still wanted to maintain their original OEM ride quality. Felt like this was the best fit for them, so we're going to put it on. I hope you stay with us and see if we can get it raised up a little bit. So one of the first things I wanted to do was get a base of what our height is right now and how much clearance we've got actually between the tires and the fenders. So it looks like we're about 34 3/4 to the bottom of the fender here, and it looks like they currently have about 3 1/4 inches from the tire to the fender on the back or on the front. So in the back we're 36 inches from the ground, and we're about 4 1/2 inches from the tire to the fender. So it's not just about tire clearance. It's about ground clearance as well, as we know. So let's take that measurement. Looks like we're about 13 inches. Now Nancy and Alan know that the running boards that they have aren't really conducive to off-roading. They do have some plans to change this, and I'm not sure exactly what they're going with. They talked about putting some plastic running board type on for the short term rather than rock sliders. Again, this is not somebody that's going to be hardcore off-roading. They just want a little bit of ground clearance to get them up over some of the more minor obstacles. So the kit is fairly complete. Comes with everything you need. We're going to lay all this stuff out, put a plan together. So the directions are clear. They're black and white, but they're good and clear, easy to understand. Doesn't take a whole lot of required tools, just common hand tools, a floor jack and jack stand. And here's just a sample of what the directions look like. One thing about the directions is they don't come in the package. You have to download them on the internet. So we're going to start with the back first. I'm going to go ahead and get it jacked up and get it up on jack stands so we can start working. So the next thing we're going to do is loosen the control arms. There's 4 points that we do that, and it takes a 21mm socket. Next item to loosen up is our track arm. It's this one right here, and then it also connects in right up there. I'll show it to you better in a minute. So after the track arm's loosened up, we're going to remove the brake line bracket. It's this bolt right here. Next is the shock bracket. Once we have everything disconnected, we're going to go ahead and lower the axle. Need to make sure that we don't overextend any wires or the e-brake cables. With your increased slack, you lift your spring up and slide it right out. So they don't show you exactly which one of the riser blocks fits on the front or the back. So the ones with just the one knob on it. You can see there. That goes in the back. The front ones have two. So with the e-brake unhooked and the sway bar unhooked, being able to put this spring back in should be quite a bit easier. Look at there. I actually have too much room now. So the plan with the lift kit is, of course, to increase lift. You put bigger tires on. So we still can't have all of that collapse that we would just with a regular stock suspension. So it's spacer blocks in here for our bump stops. That keeps us from collapsing and crashing our fenders. So the shock extension brackets are a little bit unique to AEV. Instead of just having something that bolts in and goes down, you've got these brackets that go on. There's a hole, you can see it, there's a hole right here in the bottom. Then you've got holes here and here. The bolt on the bottom, the hole on the bottom is going to match up with the hole in your factory mount. Then you're going to have a bolt that comes through here, then you're going to have your factory hardware that's going to connect your shock back down. Along with the new bolt they give you a spacer to go in between so you don't collapse your factory mounting brackets. So before you spend an hour or so trying to figure out which one of these brackets are front and which one's rear, because there's nothing really that says what it is. This one with the slot, that's going to be the front. This one with the square is going to be for the back. So with this side buttoned up, it's time to go to the next one. Now for the front, we're going to do basically the same thing for the rear. We're going to loosen up the control arms and the track bar. We're going to undo the brake line from the frame, and we're going to take the sway bar off. We're also taking the brake line off of the bottom of the spring perch. This is going to make it easier to get the bump stop put in up here when we get ready to put it back together. So in addition to loosening the control arms of the track bar, taking the sway bar disconnect off, as well as the shock, we've also got to take this wire loose here, here, and disconnect it from the differential on the passenger side. Alright, so we've got our spring out. We're going to take the factory bump stop out and replace it with our spacer. So this is our factory one. This is AEV. Notice it's got the two bumps on it. Those go into the frame like this with the AEV logo sticking out. Bump stop's a little bit tricky. I'll show you how to put this on before I put the spring and stuff back in. So we're going to put this inside the spring. Go ahead and put your bolt through. And where it's actually going to live is right on top of your spring perch. Now, the challenge on the passenger side is you have got your steering stabilizer and all of that stuff in the way right here. The driver's side is actually going to be much easier, and you can just reach your fingers up in there. On the passenger side, however, you've got to get an extension with a swivel, and it's got to come in through the back side under here and go in and tighten up onto your bolt. Everything's seated up where it's supposed to, and we're going to set our spring.
Yep.
Next, we're going to install our shock extension bracket. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add the sway bars to it. The AEV directions say that you need to take the Jeep once you're done with the lift kit to a professional alignment shop to get it lined up. What they're going to do, they're going to loosen this bolt right here, and then they're going to move this thread either in or out to straighten your steering wheel. We did not do anything with the tie rod ends on either side. The only thing we did was we lifted, which changed the angle and the length of your track arm here. So we're going to loosen this up and straighten the steering wheel. So all in all, the lift kit wasn't real hard to put in. It takes about 3 hours. There are a couple little curves that it throws you, but hopefully through this video I've showed you what those curves are. Now let's take a look at the tape and see what we gained. We're at 37.5 with a distance from the tire to the fender. It looks like about 5.5 inches or 6. And on the rear, 38.5 as well, with 6.5 inches between the fenders. All right, so, and the bottom of our floorboards are now about 15.5 inches off the ground. So the AEV lift kit advertises itself as a 2-inch lift. We gained 2 inches front, middle, and rear, so it lived up to its name. Looks great on the Jeep. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks again for watching Coddiwomple Overland. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again.